Good afternoon. Welcome back to Houston Real Estate Radio. I'm Shannon Register, and I'm here in the studio with Dory Gordon. We talked last segment with her. We were talking about the difference between townhouses and condos. We've got open houses going on this afternoon at a townhouse downtown, and we told you about that earlier. And we, it really sparked this conversation of if there's a problem, where do you go? So we were talking about an issue because Dory lives in a townhouse. She had an issue. We talked about that last segment. So this segment, I'm bringing in Gavin. He's information services specialist at Independent Insurance Agents of Texas, and he's going to give us some guidance from an insurance perspective on this little issue that Dory's been having and what the next step should be. Jim's worked for insurance companies in various underwriting and management capacities. He also was an independent insurance agent for 20 years and is currently working for the Independent Insurance Agents of Texas, a trade association in Austin. So welcome to the show. We appreciate you calling in today.
Thanks so much for having me.
All right, Jim, you know what we're talking about here. Let's begin by telling the people at home the difference between a condo policy and a homeowner's policy so we get this cleared up.
Okay, the difference is kind of simple, and the same thing would apply to a townhouse, which is the same thing as a normal homeowner's policy. In fact, you can write a normal homeowner's policy on a townhouse. And the difference is that the individual unit owner in a townhouse, well, just like they would in a home, has a fee simple title to the real estate, to the ground underneath it. Mm-hmm. Whereas in a condo, all of the real estate and all the common elements are technically owned by the condo association. And that means that the association has a policy that covers all the stuff it's supposed to cover, and then the individual unit owner would have a separate policy covering those things that their own personal property and any of the stuff that the condo association policy didn't cover. And that's probably where the biggest mess up occurs in insurance, is that neither party in that transaction really understands what each person is responsible for insuring.
All right. Well, in this particular case, I know you weren't on with this last segment, but Dory explained her situation where basically she's had a roof leak, and the damage has come to the interior now. The water damage has come to the interior, and the condo association's policy doesn't want to cover it because of prior repairs that were done, and so they want to exempt a unit. Can you exempt one unit out of your condo associations? No. Okay.
No, you can't, and that's a great question, Shannon and Dory. I'm sorry you have to go fight that mess.
Thank you.
The reality of the situation is this: the insurance policy is in the name of the association, and it's going to respond if there's any damage that occurs because of a covered cause of loss. Now, if there was wind damage that created an opening and the water came in, then that's a wind loss. I don't care what anybody tries to say. Whether or not it was patched improperly is not a condition in any insurance policy. There's no insurance policy that says, hey, if you did some work and it's not acceptable, or we don't like it, then we don't have to pay. That clause doesn't exist in any insurance policy. So the association, the insurance company for the association, for the condo association, should respond to that, basically, if it was caused by wind or hail or something along those lines. If it's just worn out, then there isn't any insurance policy that pays for stuff that just wears out and breaks. But my contention would be that even a bad patch had to have something that made it start to leak, or it would have started to leak immediately.
Right. So
generally, there's some kind of element of nature that causes that to happen, which more often than not is covered by the policy.
So and she's had individual insurance folks come and look at this roof who've said, it's just worn out. The condo association just needs to replace it. So the fact that their insurance policy won't cover that, they're just not wanting to pay for it. But in fact, they're responsible for just fixing it as an association.
Yeah, that's correct. And I'm not an attorney, nor have ever played on the radio. But if you go back to the Uniform Condo Act in Texas, it will say that those things, those common elements, are all the association's responsibility to insure. The law says that.
Awesome. All right. So
it's theirs. It's not Dory's roof. She owns a part of that, along with she has an undivided interest in the roof, along with all the other unit owners. But it's the association's responsibility to take care of that.
So in this situation, like her insurance is saying, yes, we cover the inside, but it's because of the damage to the roof that caused all this interior damage, so we don't want to cover the inside. And then, of course, the association is saying, it's not their issue. So it's going back and forth. And in the meantime, she's got, mold issues and water damage issues. So what does one do in this kind of situation? I mean, are you just left to hiring an attorney and fighting it out? Is there any kind of arbitration? I mean, what can one do?
I'll answer that by saying that if I was in Dory's position, I think what I would first do is get someone to come out and determine what actually caused the loss. Is it really a worn-out roof? If that's the case, then that's.
Yeah, she's had a couple of independent folks come out, roof experts come out and say that
are
that's
bonded, licensed, and insured roofers that are experts in our industry, and I did that early on.
So now she takes that to her board of directors and pleads the case?
Yes, because my view of that is, and if you don't have an insurance claim, then the question is who's responsible for the bad patch that went on the roof?
Right.
And that would either be the roofer who did it or the board that authorized it, in my opinion. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
In other words, if they decided to patch it when it should have been replaced, then that's an association issue.
Right, because why would the homeowner have ever been up there or had a reason to be up there when it's not their roof?
Well, that's exactly right. I mean, there's even if you own the roof, who wants to get on it? You know
right.
what I'm saying?
So, let's talk about
but realistically,
foreclosures.
if it's just a worn out roof, the association should replace the roof. That's plain and simple.
Okay.
And the fact that there is damage to your property because they failed to do that might indicate that they might have some responsibility for that, basically.
Okay, well, we're going to talk to an attorney next, so we'll ask him about that. When you purchase a condo that is a foreclosure, is there anything as a consumer you can do to protect yourself against things like this?
There really isn't, because most foreclosures are purchased as is,
right.
And the problem is that if there's damage from let's say I'll use a simple example, like say there was a fire in the unit. Well, your current insurance company isn't responsible for that fire because they didn't insure it when the fire happened.
Right.
What is possible to do is to go to the prior unit owner, or basically the bank in that case, if they had foreclosed on it, and determine what insurance they had in place, and ask them to file a claim under their policy if there is some damage that was caused, again, by a covered cause of loss.
Okay, if the insurance isn't paying and she's got all this water and mold damage, and now it decreases her property value, and what would I guess I'm asking who's going to be how's she going to get her money back when she sells the property, because it's decreased in value? Who's going to be responsible for that?
I think that's a great question, and I think it's one of the things that anybody buying a condo needs to stop and think about, which is, and I mentioned earlier that condos are kind of a mess in terms of who's supposed to insure what.
Right.
There are three different ways to insure condos, which shift the responsibility for certain elements of the condos between the association and the unit owner. And all that is triggered by what's in the condo declarations, the bylaw, and the bylaws, starting on what Texas law says, and then you can make the condo association responsible for even more things. My recommendation to anybody buying a condo would be to either outline what I'm specifically responsible for, or to ask them, because to me it makes more sense to have the association insure all that stuff, because they can buy that insurance cheaper, quite frankly.
Yeah.
And you're basically spreading it across all the unit owners.
Right.
So it just makes a whole lot more sense to do that.
Sure.
And having owned a couple of condos, I can tell you that I never wanted to depend upon what my neighbor's insurance policy was going to do in the event they had a loss in their unit.
Yeah.
I'd much rather depend on the association's policy to take care of that, because I don't want them, I don't even know if they bought insurance.
Right. Okay, last question for you on lighting issues. If they won't replace lights, fix lights that are, so there's dark areas like walking up to your front door and stuff, does, if there's an incident that happens, a break-in, a robbery, an attack or something, does that fall back on their liability? Because technically they're supposed to be replacing those bulbs and fixing anything that's, keeping the pathways from being lit in the common areas.
Their liability insurance is going to respond specifically to bodily injury or property damage because of their negligence. And if they were negligent in not replacing the lights or keeping the lighting current in those areas, then their policy, and if someone tripped and fell, for example, it would respond to that. Okay. Not the same way necessarily for a break-in. There'd have to be some kind of a tie between the lack of lighting and the break-in, which would be a lot harder to prove their negligence. But and particularly since it would kind of fall back then upon. That's probably a better question for the attorney, quite frankly. But I can tell you that the insurance company is going to say, "Now wait a second." They broke in, whether or not there was a light bulb there or not. Would they have broken in had there been a light there? That's a $64 question. But if somebody were to fall and get hurt, it would respond to that. I can't speak to that issue.
All right, Jim, Gavin, we appreciate you calling in today to Houston Real Estate Radio. We love the insurance feedback you've given us. Some great information. We appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Happy to do it. If I can help with anything else, let me know.
Great. All right. If you've got a real estate question, give us a call, 844-788-9444. And remember, all of these shows are video recorded and put online at HoustonRealEstateRadio.com. So if you caught the tail end of it and you want to go back and hear Dory's story about what actually happened and then hear from the attorney that's coming on after this, catch us online at HoustonRealEstateRadio.com.
RREA Media has an exciting new product available to companies and organizations who are teaching classes and want to offer those classes online. Introducing Easy Distance Learning. Easy Distance Learning is a video-based distance learning system that allows companies and organizations to leverage their existing classroom content into a broader reach and increased revenues. Did you know that the rate of growth of distance learning is 10 times that of classroom education? And 66% of chief academic officers think distance learning is critical to their long-term strategy. Right now, 33% of higher education students are taking at least one online class. Companies and organizations not offering a distance alternative to in-class instruction risk being left behind. Video-based distance learning has three basic components: classroom capture, post-production, and content distribution. Easy Distance Learning is a comprehensive and modular system that covers all three components that can help your organization with what you are missing in offering a quality and convenient online learning experience. You choose the parts you need help with. Easy Distance Learning offers another revenue stream, a broader reach of your existing content, and a professional presentation with a great learner experience. Contact us today for a free estimate and see how Easy Distance Learning can take your company or organization to the next level.